because can you make that beat open? You're the best. I do write to, they invented Pandora. And let me just say, I am not a music person. My husband is a music person. I don't like to say this publicly because people don't take it very well, but and they always try to convince me that I'm wrong. I don't like songs. People are like, what do you mean you don't like songs? Everybody likes songs. I don't like songs. I mean, songs are fine. I like it when songs are on, but like to go to a place and sit down and not talk and specifically listen to people make songs, I would rather vacuum. But I'm a bit, I do have a soul. I love art museums. I can spend any amount of time with painting, sculpture. And it's partially because I'm partially deaf, and I don't hear music the way my husband hears it. Like, I can never pick out the individual instruments unless it's some, like, you know, like a bassoon that has a weird, like a tuba. I'd probably recognize a tuba, but like violin, viola, flute, whatever. But I like lyrics. So there's very few bands I like or artists I like, but there's lyrics I like. And also, like, even though I don't pay attention to it, like I can write with a musical score going on in the background with all the lyrics going on. I don't really listen to it because it just goes in the background. But music causes moods or feelings even if you're not noticing them. And you can find a sound that gets you. So Pandora, I would go in and put in seed songs, and then Pandora would start building this playlist. So I have, like, the book I just finished is the Paula playlist. It's all Pink, Regina Spektor, Indigo Girls, and Congos. That's it. Like, everything else thumbs down. And a few people I've never heard of who sound a lot like Pink, Regina Spektor, Indigo Girls, or Congos, because those are the people who, the things they say feed that book. And then when I finish the book, it's very hard to listen to that. Like, if I put on the Paula playlist, like, there's a Congo song called that I don't know the name of, but it begins with this building, and it's Paula. That's Paula. And I hear that song, and I'm instantly in The Opposite of Everyone. So I have to, like, make a whole new playlist with none of the same artists. I'm building a playlist for the book I just started right now. Yeah. I want to say one thing about the questions here. I'm happy to answer anything you want, but not everybody here has read every book, so don't be like, hey, at the end of someone else's love story, when the uncle stabs her in the eye, is she okay? Like, don't do that. None of that happens in any of my books, to be fair. But if you need to know something about a plot twist or the end, just hang back. And afterwards, you can whisper it to me, and I'll secretly tell just you. But anything that's not a spoiler, go ahead and ask.
So you said you've just finished a book?
I have.
When is that going to come out?
January, a year from now.
Okay.
It takes about a year from the time you turn in a book for them to, like, have a big fight about the cover and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Copy edit and typeset and start getting independent booksellers to read it and start, get it ready to be published. It takes about a year.
Yeah.
How do you feel about sequels?
I don't agree with sequels. They're wrong and bad to do. For me. Anybody else is welcome to. I don't write sequels for moral reasons, and I'll tell you what they are. If you've read one of my books, I don't promise you a happy ending. I promise you a hopeful one. And I don't mean a hopeful one in the literary sense. Like, sometimes very literary writers will say, oh, all my books end hopefully. And by that they mean, as Svetlinka stood on the ravaged, burned ground of her homeland, her foot resting on the shattered skull of the only man she'd ever loved, all the children they had never had, filling the air around them. She noticed through the eye socket of his destroyed skull a daisy poking up. Okay, that is not a hopeful ending. I actually let Mosey Slocum in A Grown-Up Kind of Pretty say my philosophy. I'm going to say a good adult grown-up word. Is there any little person here who could repeat it at Nana's brunch? No, okay. Mosey Slocum is 15 years old, and at a certain point she decides and says, you know, she's in her mother's arms and everything is good. And she thinks, me and my mom are okay, and as long as we're okay, it's all okay. I understand that life is just a shitstorm just passed and another shitstorm coming, but right now is good. And that's where I try to end my books, in the breath between shitstorms.